I'm Kelly from Jewellery. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this massive ring. So let's get started. To make this ring you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge. I've cut 4 lengths at 11 inches, which is 28 centimetres. I've got 0.315mm weaving wire, which is 28 gauge. I've wound 300 centimetres onto my bobbin. I'm not sure if you'll need that much just yet, so I'll adjust it on the screen. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. If you don't have a bobbin, don't worry, you can just cut lengths as you go if you prefer. Got a little stone today. Mine is a 6mm flat back, and I've got 2 little tiny beads. Those are just little 2mm beads. When you're buying your little beads online, remember to check the size of the hole so it'll fit onto your wire. So tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, wire cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry, I just like having these handy for flattening and compressing weaves. My nylon pliers are Prestige, and the rest of my tools are Tronex. I'll put a list of everything in the description below. I know these tools are a little bit more expensive to buy, but I found that they last. So as I was continually buying the cheaper ones, I've only had to buy these once, and they've lasted me a good 4 or 5 years so far. So cut your wires to the lengths that I have. Get your base wires, and I'm going to start weaving 4.5 inches from the beginning of those wires. So take your weaving wire. We'll start with a few wraps around the bottom wire. We'll go around the bottom 2, come up between, and then go around the second wire. Come up between the bottom 2 again, and go around the middle 2. Come up between the middle 2 wires, go around the 3rd wire. Come up between the middle 2 again, and go around the top 2. Come up between the middle 2 and go around the 3rd wire. Come up between the bottom 2 and go around the middle 2. Come up between the bottom 2 and go around the second wire. And then go around the bottom 2 wires. We'll wrap once around the bottom wire. And that's our repeat. So we're just going to keep repeating that weave. So you go around the bottom 2, you come up between those 2, you go around the second wire, come up between the bottom 2, go around the middle 2 wires, come up between the middle 2 and go around the 3rd, come up between the middle 2 again and go around the top 2. Come up between the middle 2, go around the 3rd, come up between the bottom 2, go around the middle 2. Can you see a pattern? Come up between the bottom 2, go around the second, and then go around the bottom 2 wires, wrap around the bottom wire. Now you don't have to do this weave if it's too confusing, a bit of a crazy one. I just thought I'd do something a bit different. If you want to do another weave, that's entirely up to you. We need to do the ring, as long as we need the band to be. So this is going to be our band for the ring. So I forgot to mention, as I always do, I always forget something. They're going to need a ring mandrel. So we need to do as many weave repeats as it takes to get around that ring mandrel to the size that you want. So keep repeating that weave or a similar weave that you want to do for your band. So I've repeated that weave, and you must keep pushing it together as you go. Keep it all nice and tidy. I like to flatten my weave with nylon pliers, but don't worry if you don't have any. Cut that tail end off from the beginning. And it's not until we get it round the mandrel that we know how many repeats we need to do. I normally guess it and I normally guess it wrong, so let's get it round the mandrel and we'll have a look. So carefully, gently bend your weave around your mandrel. I haven't really got room to do it so you can see. Right, let's have a look. So if I was to go for a 5, if I pull 2 wires down and 2 wires up, then I can bring the wires together around there. I can see what I've got. So we want a space in the middle. You need a space between the weaves in the middle, because that's where we're going to do our work. That's where we're going to do our add our stone. So we're going to take the outer wires out. I'm pretty confident I don't need to add any more weaves. I may need to take some away. Want these wires to go out too. So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger just so I've got a bigger space in the middle. You obviously want to do yours to the size that you've decided. Do you want your outer wires to come out? So I've got my outer wires going out and then meeting. And then take the next wires. I've got to go straight across really because I want to add a bit of a weave. Let's have a look. So I'm going to add a little bit of a weave. So if you take your wire that's still attached, I'm just going to weave across the two just a little bit. So I'm going to go over, so I'm going to round the two, come up between the two, around the top wire, around the bottom wire, and I'm only going to do a few repeats of that. I'll probably do 3 or 4 repeats of that. So we go around the two, around the top and around the bottom. So I've done 4 repeats of that weave, maybe 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to part those wires. So the wire comes down and that wire goes directly up. So then I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to grab a piece of weaving wire. I'm going to leave this one attached because I want to weave up. So I'm going to take a new piece of weaving wire and I'm going to do that same weave across these 2 middle wires. So we're doing the same on this side. So I've done a little weave on that side. I need to cut that little tail end off and then part the wires as you did for the other side. So I've got lots of wires everywhere at the moment. So I'm going to part the wires. So now I've got 2 middle wires coming down and 2 middle wires going up and a little space in the middle. So then pop it back on your mandrel. And what we want is, I'm sneaking up another side, we want those middle weaves to lie against the mandrel. Now if you're working with a pointy stone, try and leave a gap in the middle and then your point can fit into the middle. If you're working with a flat back stone like me, you don't have to worry about it too much. But I want those wires to come up next to each other. I have no room to work whatsoever. I need to move a few things around. But you want your weaves, your middle weaves, to come together, and then you want your wires to go up and down. And if you're working with a pointy stone, you want to do less weaves, so you've got a nice hole in the middle to pop the pointy end in. Don't worry about the outer wires at the minute. I'm going to bend those out the way. They're getting in the way. And this one, that's it. So now we'll just focus on the middle wires. And we want them next to each other. And I'm just going to do a little weave along here and here, just to hold those wires together. So we've got a piece of weaving wire at each end, we can use that. Just do exactly the same weave, just do the 4 repeats or however many you did for the sides. So I've repeated that weave on that side. Turn it around and weave along the middle 2 wires on the other side. You should still have some weaving wire attached. Do the same weave along these 2 wires. So I've added a repeat to that side. So we've got like a little cross in the middle now. So I'm bringing all the wires together now, top and bottom. And I'm going to weave across all 4 wires. Just to bring them together, just to tie them together. So it's not going to be a fancy weave. We'll just do like 2 repeats just to hold it all together. So I'm going to go around the bottom 2. Come up between. Around the middle 2. Come up between. Around the top 2. Come up between. Around the top wire. Come up between the middle 2. Around the 3rd wire, come up between the bottom 2, around the 2nd wire, around the bottom wire, and I'll just do that repeat once more, just to make sure that all those wires are held together. And as you go, do keep pushing the weave together. It just keeps it all nice and tidy. Oh, what am I doing? It keeps it all nice and tidy. Nearly there. Up around each wire on the way back. Down. There we go. So just those 2 repeats, just to hold all the wires together. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Bring those wires together and do 2 repeats of that weave across all of it. So I've done that weave on that side. Now what I want to do is, you can see it's all pretty flat. I want to bend the middle in a little bit. So by bending the middle in, I'm bending the outer out. Do it and then I'll show you what I mean. I just don't want the middle domed, because if the little stone sits on a domed surface, it's just going to pop out. You want it to cave in just a little bit, so that it kind of cups the stone. Does that make sense? So rather than it being domed and the stones sit against a flat surface, it just goes in a little bit so the stone's got somewhere to sit. Next I'm going to cut off that shorter wire, because we're going to need longer wires now. So I'm going to finish that weave with a couple of wraps around the one side. I'm going to cut off that shorter wire. Bobbin's still attached to the other side. So I want my stone to sit right in the middle there. That's the plan. So next, take your middle 2 wires. So we're going to work just across the middle 2 wires and get your longer length of weaving wire over. So we've gone around the second wire there. And we'll go, how many times shall we go? We'll go 4 times around that bottom wire. And then we'll go twice around the 2. And then 4 times around that bottom wire. Repeat that a few more times. Please mention me when sharing your finished work online. Please don't share images of the back or in progress, as it gives my design away. I want people to come here and watch the video rather than make the piece from your pictures, if that makes sense. So thank you to everybody who does. Thank you to everybody in advance. Keep repeating that weave. So we're not sure how many weave repeats we need just yet. So do a few on this side and we can always add to it in a bit. I'm going to cut that weaving wire. I'm going to leave about 8 inches still attached so I can add and take repeats. And we're going to do the same weave to the other side. So turn it around, take your middle 2 wires, and we're going to do the same weave to that side. So that's 4 wraps around the bottom wire, twice around 2 wires. So I'm not sure how many repeats I need yet, so I've done the same on both sides. I can always add and take away repeats. Cut off the tail ends from the middle parts. And then we're going to push the outer wires back a bit. Take this, the middle weave. I'm going to bring it, first of all, I'm going to bring it this way. And then I'm going to scoop it over that way. And then I'm going to do the same with the other side. And then my original plan is that this weave is going to reach down to the bottom here. So I'm going to add weave repeats to get it to here. So what's I'm going to need like another 3 or 4 repeats to get that to there. And then I'll do the same to the other side. So I've added repeats to that side. Then we're going to turn it around and do the same to the other side. So take that weave, I'm going to pull it over to this side to start with. I'm pulling it over a lot this time because the last time I ended up having to bend it afterwards. And we're going to bend it over. So we're doing exactly the same thing. So you want roughly the same shape. And then take your weaving wire that's attached. And I'm going to add weave repeats now until it reaches here. This will make sense in a bit because I'm going to pop the stone in there and this will help keep the stone in. So I'm going to add weave repeats till it gets to there. So I've added repeats to that side. Keep pushing them together as you go. Have a go at fitting the stone in there. So try and get the stone pretty central. And then these weaves are gonna cup the stone. So I'm gonna knot here. Oh, hold on a minute. I want to go behind that wire. So my weave is at the back. So you can see how it's going to cup the stone. So I'm going to really tip that weave over to the side there, and then have it come down and curve around the stone. And my weave's really flat. I want it to cup the stone. I'm going to cut this weaving wire because it's driving me crazy. And I'm going to cut these two wires and I'm going to attach them to that wire there, that bare wire from the side. I'm going to cut these wires off because they're too long. And then with the round nose, oh, that's much easier to handle now. With the round nose, making sure your weave is still pressed together. I'm going to take those wires around. Could probably just take the one around actually, because the other one's going to stay there because it's attached to the weave. And that wire I'm going to bend and over the band, much easier. And then we'll attach the other weave in place the same way. So make sure your weave reaches to that wire there. Cut off your wire. Take the inner wire around the bare wire. That stone is behaving itself better than I thought it would. I thought it would be off along the carpet by now. Pulling it down. So I've wrapped that wire around there, and this one I'm just going to push it underneath and up the top because that is just too fiddly to send them both around. See, I'm just going to bend that top bit over the top there. So we've got 4 wires left. So we're going to take this wire, push it over that side first, trying to ignore all the other wires, scoop it around, and then bring it in close to follow and scoop around to follow around the side of the stone there. And then pull it forward, bend it from the end and post the end through the bottom of the stone. You want it to come up, not down, because then you're going to have to post it back up. So then as you push your wire through, try and reshape the wire to have that shape that we just gave it. So it comes around the top here, and then it cups around the stone, and then it goes through the bottom, so it's on the inside of the weave next to the stone, and that's extra security to hold that stone in place. That wire comes straight up here. Give it a pull so it's nice and secure, like it's really got that stone there. Just going to straighten my wire a little, and then bring it straight over the front there. I'll leave that there for now. Going to do the same to the other side, turn it around. I'm going to take this wire, push it back, scoop it over, and then bring it around. Follow the shape at the top. And then follow the curve around the side of the stone, and we're going to post it through that gap at the bottom. So then pull it away, bend the end. I bend the end and I try not to bend that part, so I'm trying not to misshape that lovely shape we've already put into that wire. Push it through that gap there, and then feed it through and reshape that wire so it sits nicely in place. Shape that wire, and then give it a pull, hold it in place, and bring the wire over the front. That's just so it's secure. We'll deal with that in a moment. Next we're going to take this outer wire. I'm just thinking you might be able to see what I'm doing better on a darker surface. So we're going to take this wire and we're going to scoop it around, just pushing those wraps down. We're going to pop a little bead on it. Push the little bead down. And then bring that wire across so it sits nicely there. And then bring that wire down to meet the other wires. I just want to get behind that wire so we can level it up a bit. I'm going to take this wire, I'm going to bend it over the band. You really can do anything you want with these wires, or you can follow what I'm doing. Just squeezing it around the band. The white background is a bit too dark, and then this background is a bit too light. Better. You can see it now. That's better. I'll have to remember to use wood. This last wire comes out, and I'm going to do a nice big shape on it. This ring is so lovely and big. I'm going to emphasise the shape of it, and I'm going to bring it around like that, and then I'm going to post it in to that gap at the bottom because I've still got enough space for a wire. So I'm going to bend the end and pop it through at the bottom there. and then wriggle that wire through and reshape carefully that wire as it goes in. Turn it around and we'll do the same with this side. We're just going to bend it around, add a little bead to it. Found my bead. I did not think I was going to find that. Bend it around, put the bead where you want it to be so it stays there as you bend the wire. And then really overly scoop this around, and it'll go in at the bottom there. Try and get the shape to match the other side. So I'm going to squeeze it so it's flat, and then cut it and bend it up around the band. Bent my band a little bit, haven't I? I'm going to have to reshape that. So I'm going to bend this wire from the end, pull that away a little bit, and then carefully feed that through and reshape that wire. So I've pulled that wire through and shaped it to go around. I'm going to cut that wire short and wrap it around that bare wire at the bottom. Messed up the shape of my band, so I just got it back on the mandrel to level it all out. I'm heavy-handed, so I had totally bent it out of place. But put it back on your mandrel just to make sure that your stone is still in there, because it does pull it apart a little bit. And then we can correct anything that needs doing before we tie off these last wires. I've tightened those outer wires a little. Look over it all, make sure the stone is held in place. Make sure all the wires are where you want them to be. I think that's going to look lovely when it's oxidised. I'll try not to destroy the band again. I totally keep squashing it. So these wires now, they just need to come over nice and tightly. I'm going to trim it right at the top, because I don't want it to finish at the back, because then it'll catch and snag. And I just want it to grip just over the top edge. Final reshape. I ended up with a 6, which is quite good for me. It normally ends up being a 10. Really pleased how that turned out. I'll oxidise and I'll show you. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. I'll put links in the description below. So thanks for watching another one of my videos. Thank you to my lovely patrons for your support. And if you'd like to support me, pop on over to Patreon and you can choose what sort of support you would like to give. Really appreciate all you guys for making this possible for me to keep making all these tutorials for you. See you in the next one. Bye.